this deconstructionism is not new. It might be new to some of us, but it is not new to the church. In the book of Hebrews, where there were those that were leaving the faith, what they had first come to when they were embracing Judaism. They were, in essence, the first individuals, the first body of people to deconstruct their faith. And the author of Hebrews is writing and informing them, rather warning them, that they are not to deconstruct their faith, that they are not to walk away from the faith, but they are to press deeper into their Christian faith, even when they have questions about their faith. Can I tell you something, saints? Scripture never tells us to be skeptical of biblical truth. Instead, it is the Apostle Peter that warns us in 2 Peter chapter 1. He tells us to be diligent to make your calling and election sure. We must heed the command to guard our hearts. There are two distinct people groups in the book of Hebrews. There are those that are people of faith, and there are those that are unfaithful or faithless. Hebrews chapter 3 verses 12 is really founded upon this a narrative that is found in the book of Numbers. Now in chapter 14 of Numbers, the people, the faithless, the unfaithful, they turn around and they blame God for bringing them out of Egypt to die in the promised land, having believed the report of those that were faithless. And this angered God. You remember what God did? God, he blessed Caleb first and foremost and his descendants for standing on the promise that the land was theirs. And then he turned around into the faithless generation, to those that were unfaithful, to those that doubted the promise. God said, listen, you're going to be in this wilderness for 40 years until the faithless and the unfaithful, to those that doubted the promise of God, until they die out. But one thing that I love about the book of Hebrews is that it shows how what was in the old has been superseded by what is now in the new. So whereas Moses was a great leader that had led the children of Israel out of Egypt, now we see Christ, who is leading his people out of the bondage of slavery. Whereas the promised land was to be the destination of the faithful, now we see that God has a rest which is greater than the promised land, where we see that the unfaithful fell in the wilderness and were not able to enter the promised land. So it is now the judgment is heightened by the fact that those who are unfaithful to the living God not only do not enter the promised land, but they don't enter into God's rest.